All right, everybody, welcome back in. It is week 9 here on Patriots Press Pass. I am Mike Kadlick from WEEI, joined as always here by Taylor Kyles from CLNS Media. We are here to run through games to watch across the NFL, some of the best ones to bet on, not only in the AFC and the AFC East, but across the entire National Football League. This segment is presented by OddsR. Head over to oddsr.com/presspass and you can get a 30-day free trial. They'll tell you what to bet. Makes it super easy. They use AI models to give you the best gambling and betting advice. As I always say on here, they know what they're talking about. Me and Taylor are just here to have some fun and entertain you. And hey, you can take our picks if you want. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But yeah, exactly. Sometimes. So we'll give you a couple games to watch, a couple games to look at across the league, and we'll give you some betting picks here. So we're gonna start, as we always do, with the Patriots hosting the Washington Commanders from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. 1 p.m. kickoff. The Patriots are 3.5-point favorites according to FanDuel. The total is 40.5. Obviously, Sam Howell comes in with his arsenal of weapons. He's been sacked the most times in the NFL. Washington also just traded away their two best defensive ends in Montez Sweat and Chase Young, so they're getting young across the defensive line. Patriots come in 2-6. You like that one? Patriots come in 2-6, lose to the Dolphins last week, and sort of just didn't make any moves to the deadline. Sort of sitting in no man's land at 2-6. So Taylor, with Washington coming in, with what you've seen, what you've scouted, what do you make of this matchup? And ultimately, who do you think wins the game?
I think it'll be the Pats in a real low-scoring, nasty game. Yeah, I think this is a rough team, but offensively, they have shown the flashes. Like, they haven't had the super slow starts the past couple of weeks. You've seen them be able to move the ball with tempo last week, and then, obviously they keep shooting themselves in the foot again. But they've got some positive momentum. Obviously, Kendrick Bourne going down is huge. But they still got Demario. They still got Hunter Henry. They still got Pharaoh Brown, most importantly.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that we won't see the offensive line rotation that we did, so they can have some better continuity there. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Pats. Although I do think it's gonna be competitive. Sam Howell's a guy where if it's close late, he's shown that he can be competitive in those situations, so you can't sleep on him. And the defensive line, obviously, they lost two great guys on the edge, but they've got two great guys inside as well in Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. Also, the secondary has been hemorrhaging. They give up a ton of big plays, but they also get their hands on a lot of passes. They have they're one of the top teams in the NFL in dropped interceptions. If they didn't drop those, which obviously is but they would lead the league in picks. So they're getting in position to make plays. So it's going to be on the offense to actually be able to capitalize rather than give them opportunities. But yeah, I think the Patriots squeak this one out and just no one's scoring 20 in this game, I don't think.
Yeah, I see low scoring as well. I love the under 40.5. I look at, obviously, too, Emmanuel Forbes, who is one of those young guys in the Redskins secondary. Redskins, how the heck am I still doing that? The Commanders secondary. Me and Andy Hart, if you want to check it out on WEEI, just did our thing, and we both called them the Redskins 3 times. The Washington Commanders took Emmanuel Forbes just before Christian Gonzalez, and obviously Forbes is still on the field. Christian Gonzalez is not, but he has struggled this season. I look at, too, you're right. The Patriots have sort of got it going on offense a little bit over the last couple weeks. I think ultimately, I don't know where I like this team and where this team's headed. Commanders, you talk about Sam Howell and what they've done the last few weeks. They played the Eagles really good last week. I know they ended up losing, but they always play them tight. Sam Howell's got that little bit of a baller in him, so I'm going to take the Commanders plus 3.5. I don't know if they'll win either, but I think they'll keep it within 3. I think it's a 3-score game either way. My final score prediction is going to be Commanders 20, Patriots 17, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think anyone can squeeze it on the end, and I like the under 40.5 as well. All right, let's go to Germany because the Dolphins and the Chiefs are kicking off in Germany Sunday. It'll be around 9 o'clock Eastern time. The Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites, according to FanDuel, and the total is 50.5. Dolphins coming off a win against the Patriots last week. Chiefs coming off a surprising loss, I'd say, to the Denver Broncos. They only ended up putting up 9 points. And Patrick Mahomes apparently was dealing with the flu. Russell Wilson looks like a pretty good quarterback as of late. I think that, we all jumped on him last season, and rightfully so. But even though the Broncos haven't been great, Russell Wilson's been playing pretty solid ball this season. The Broncos, another team that stood pat at the trade deadline. There were talks that they might move off of Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, their tackle, Garrett Bowles, but they're all there. And I still think the Chiefs are one of the best teams in football, but they're coming off a little bit of, like we said, a stinker against that team. So what do you make of Dolphins versus Chiefs in Germany? A high total of 50.5, two high-flying powered offenses. Patriots head into Germany next week as well, so this is a sort of a preview of what it looks like out there. But what do you think of this one?
I think it stinks that this is a Germany game because there's the chance that, that could affect how it's actually played and how players feel about it, because this is an amazing matchup. But good for the people of Germany. They get to see some good football instead of like the basement teams.
Yeah.
Right. But, I mean, it's tough because I really like the Chiefs defense. Obviously, you had a rough one last week, but this is also an amazing Dolphins offense. Like, one thing I talked to J.C. Jackson about some of the big plays they gave up yesterday, and he was just like, you got to give respect to those skilled players and how Mike McDaniel's using them like they were in their bag.
Yeah.
And it looked bad, on the TV broadcast, but there were also some plays where you just had to tip your cap to the Dolphins. And their defense looked really good. Jalen Ramsey just came in and looked like he'd been playing all season. That could be a little bit much for this Chiefs team. Now, Dolphins play a lot of zone coverage, and Travis Kelce destroys zone coverage. It's going to be a really interesting
It's unbelievable how he plays against zone. It's crazy.
No idea how that one's going to turn out. But I don't know if the Chiefs, this sounds kind of crazy, but I'm just not sure if they'd be able to match the firepower of the Dolphins just because they have so much talent at the skill positions. Whereas, the Chiefs, it's Mahomes being amazing and Travis Kelce, but I just don't know if they can score as quickly as the Dolphins can.
Yeah.
And I also just think that, I don't know, that it's tough. Yeah, I'm not going to overthink this one because I'm starting to – I can feel myself spiraling. Yep. I'm just going to give the Dolphins the win in this one, but I think it's going to be a really close game. Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Chiefs here. I think that while I agree with all your points, I also like to look at, momentum and, where things going. Obviously, the Dolphins have momentum, but I also think that the Chiefs coming off a loss, they're going to come out flying. And I look at again, that Chiefs defense that we've talked about here every single week, like they're really dang good. And they sort of, they weren't great last week, but I also think that they can, scheme something up. Spags can do something for that Tua Mike McDaniel offense. Not that they're going to shut them down. I still think I like the over 50.5 in this game. I think both teams are going to score their points, but I think the Chiefs eke it out. I think, Mahomes is going to have a bounce back game here. I love what Kelce does against that zone defense. So I think he's going to have a big game. I understand your point about not being able to answer. But I think the Chiefs will slow him down a little bit. So I think I like the Chiefs -1.5, and I like the total of 50.5. I like rooting for points. Wake up early, 9 a.m., root for points. Go do that on FanDuel, who we'll actually listen to right now. Let's get a word in here from FanDuel.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action, NFL. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including you got spreads, you got your player props, you got over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
That's FanDuel.com/Boston. Go get your bonus bets over there at FanDuel.com/Boston. You can bet on all of the games that we are talking about here on Patriots Press Pass, including this next one. The Los Angeles Rams are headed to Green Bay to take on Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 3-point favorites at FanDuel, and the total is a low 38.5. The Rams are a team me and you, Taylor, have talked about on here several times that we love Matt Stafford. We think they can be a good team, but they've also lost 2 straight. And the Packers, at least I was high on Jordan Love early in this season, but that team is not great either. They've lost a couple in a row. I'm kind of surprised to see the Packers as favorites in this one. I think I look at both of these teams as teams that can be pretty good and not have performed. But the LA Rams, I feel like, are just better as far as like personnel and coaching and everything in that regard. So kind of surprised to see the Packers as favorites here, but we both like Stafford. I think it should be a decent contest. It's a matchup between McVay and his understudy and one of the, I guess, Shanahan understudies with him and Matt LaFleur. That coaching tree remains insane. But yeah, Rams head into Green Bay. What do you think of this matchup?
This is another one I'm just going to keep simple. I think if Stafford plays, I think they win this one. If he
right. I should have mentioned that as well. Stafford is banged up, so that's obviously a factor here.
And as much as I love Brett Rippon, we've kind of seen what he is at the NFL at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Matt Stafford plays, they win. If they don't, they lose. I think it really just comes down to that.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that's also true as to why the Packers are favorites here. Even though Jordan Love has them great, and that team really has them great. They just traded Rasul Douglas to the Bills, so I wouldn't call that a full sell move by any means. But they picked up a pick there. I agree with you. I think it's a little too early to tell on Stafford dealing with an elbow, which is always tough with him. Obviously, his throwing arm. So if it's Rippon, I agree with you. I like if it's Rippon, I like the Packers. If it's Stafford, I like the Rams. Something tells me Stafford is just going to play. Like, I just feel like he's the kind of guy that is going to fight through it. So if you had to do it now, I guess I like the Rams. Take the points early, +3, and then the line will change, and then you're good to go on that. As far as the total, 38.5 feels low. I feel like that's another one kind of reliant on Stafford, because I feel like if Rippon plays, the Rams maybe score 10 points, and if Stafford does play, they could score upwards of 25-30. So I would wait on the total as far as betting it if I were you. But if you think Stafford's going to play, I kind of like taking the Rams here +3. So that's that one. Let's stay in the NFC. We have Cowboys. We have Eagles. The Eagles are also 3-point favorites, just like the Packers were. Eagles coming off a close but a big win against the Commanders, and the Cowboys coming off a massive win as well. 46.5 is the total, according to FanDuel. Cowboys have a great defense. Eagles have a great offense. The tush push finally did not work last week. I think Jalen Hurts fumbled or something like that. But I love Jalen Hurts. I think I watch him play every single week, and I just see like he continues to improve as a passer, which was his biggest sort of flaw in the pre-draft stuff, if you will. People didn't love the way he threw the football. Even early in his career, he wasn't great, but he's really improved in that. A.J. Brown has been dominant. 6 games with 125 yards through the air, and 6 games in a row. So their connection is sky high, spot on. But that Cowboys defense we talked about, even without Trayvon Diggs, has still been really good. NFC East matchup. Again, Philly's at home, so that makes it all the more interesting out at the link. But what do you make of this one, Taylor?
It's tough because the Cowboys just had a shootout. And I think the Eagles, I want to say this is going to be, not really a shootout. They put up 40. It wasn't really, competitive. It was just they put up a shootout. And I want to say that the Eagles can contend with that, but the Cowboys' pass defense has been very good, and the Eagles' pass defense has not been very good. So I think that I feel like most people are probably going to lean on the Eagles, but I'll go with the upset and say the Cowboys actually pull this one out.
Ooh, all right. Man, you're kind of making me rethink it. I feel like we've been opposite a few times here. But I don't know. Like I said, I just talked up the Eagles in the lead up there. I like where Philly's at this year. Really like Jalen Hurts. Really like Nick Sirianni. I do. I know people hate him and he's cringy, and I agree, but
I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, I do too. I think a lot of these
everybody's so serious. Appreciate the goofy coaches we have. They're awesome.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you. I completely agree with that. That's why I like him. That's why I like Mike McDaniel. Hell, that's why I even like Brandon Staley. And I get that he stinks, but that's why I like Staley. I kind of like his goofiness too. So I'm going to take the Eagles -3. I'm going to take over 46.5 as well. I think this can be a sneaky shootout again, even though got a couple good defenses on both sides. Before we finish this thing off with 2 primetime games, let's listen and hear to our friends at Factor Meals.
Fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Too busy this fall to cook? Want to make sure you're eating well? With Factor, skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So all you have to do is heat and enjoy, then get back to crushing your goals. Looking for calorie-conscious options during the busy season? Try the delicious dietitian-approved Calorie Smart meals with around less than 550 calories per serving. This September, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/PressPass50 and use code PressPass50 to get 50% off. That's code PressPass50 at factormeals.com/PressPass50 to get 50% off.
You heard it there. Press Pass 50 for 50% off those Factor meals. Get them. Super easy to use. Good food. Keeps you healthy. All that good stuff. So let's continue on with a couple of our primetime games here, Taylor. Sunday Night Football. We have the Bills at the Bengals. By far my favorite matchup of the weekend. A matchup of a few AFC playoff games here. I know last year's game in Buffalo that the Bengals ended up squeaking out for the win. This one here at Cincinnati, Bengals are 1.5-point favorites according to FanDuel. The total is 49.5. After a slower start to the season, the Bengals are back on track. They've won a couple in a row here. Joe Burrow seems to be healthier. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins obviously look to be getting themselves in a little bit of a groove. The Buffalo Bills, meanwhile, continue losing pieces on defense, although they did trade for Rasul Douglas from the Packers this week at the trade deadline. But still a couple, like they lose to the Patriots, then last weekend on Thursday Night Football, they eke one out against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Almost lost on a Hail Mary at the last second. But nonetheless, Bills at Bengals. Great matchup between two great quarterbacks and two sort of young, up-and-coming teams in the league. So, Taylor, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think the Bengals pulled this one out, mostly because I think that the Bills are just really struggling at corner. And I think that's going to be their undoing against Josh Allen. They put up 30 points in like 2 of the past 3 weeks. So they've been doing pretty well offensively, kind of really hitting their stride. And then obviously it depends on which version of Josh Allen comes to play. But the Bengals have a good defense, and I just think that Joe Burrow is going to make fewer mistakes in this one. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I think Joe Burrow is going to be the one to come out on top.
I think so too.
And the Bengals, sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's Joe Burrow's Bengals. It's his team, and I agree with you. I think this is sort of one of those don't overthink it. People are a little bit lower on the Bengals than they should be because of their rough start to the season and of Joe Burrow's health, but they look really good again. They need to win these games because of their slow start. They do need to, grind these ones out and get to the playoffs, and I think they will. And I think they will at this one too. At home, prime time, Joe Burrow minus 1.5 feels like an easy bet to me. And I also agree with you that it's going to be high scoring. They've got their mojo going. The Bills, even though they're not, dominating and they lost a tough one to the Patriots, their offense is still the Bills' offense. So they can put up points as well. So I like Bengals minus 1.5, and I like 49 over 49.5 in this one in Cincinnati. Now we go to Monday Night Football, Taylor, where we have the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to the Jets at MetLife. Chargers, road favorites, minus 3.5, coming all the way from LA. They still pick up the minus sign at FanDuel, and the total's a low 40.5. The Jets coming off a bye week and coming off a couple good wins. No, they won last week. I'm sorry, they're not coming off a bye week. They beat the Giants in actually a really frisky game, which was very, very interesting because they really should have lost that game, and then Zach Wilson had the spike. I don't know if you saw the end of the game. It was pretty nuts. But the Chargers come in, and they are road favorites. So we've sort of warmed up to Zach Wilson here on this show. We're also big Justin Herbert fans, me and you. So two of our newer favorite quarterbacks in this league facing off on Monday Night Football. Who do you like?
I think I'm going to go with the Jets because I think they just have more of a clutch gene. So,
imagine saying that coming into the season, saying that Zach Wilson's Jets have a clutch gene.
most comebacks in the NFL this season.
I know.
Yeah, I think that the defense can keep it tight. And yeah, I just think that the Jets will be able to pull this one out. I'm not going to this is one of my not overthink games. I'm just going to keep it simple. I think this is a Jets win. Riding
the Jets. I do it every week with the Chargers. I love Justin Herbert. I think he's in a tough situation. I understand that he's, he doesn't help himself sometimes either. But, every week I look at the numbers, I look at the lines, I'm like, Chargers minus 3.5. Let's roll. Let's do it. This is the week they pull it off. I'm going to continue to do it here. I think that the Jets, they do have a little bit of a spark with Wilson. And I feel like they, as a whole, have sort of a motivation to keep winning just in case Aaron Rodgers can come back, which that's a whole nother story for another day. But the fact that he's out there slinging footballs on a torn Achilles is like the craziest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. I really do think he might come back. But even if he's not going to come back and he's just doing it as a motivation tactic, I think it's working because the Jets are playing really good football on both sides. So nonetheless, I still like the Chargers here. I think they can pull it out. I think they need to go on a little bit of a run themselves to get them back in wild card playoff contention. So I think this is a good week to do it for them. So I'm going to take the Chargers with the points and 40.5. I think it's going to be low scoring because that Jets defense, continues to keep it close for them. So I'm going to go under 40.5. So that's going to do it for myself and Taylor Kyles here on Patriots Press Pass for Week 9. You can obviously follow him on Twitter at tkyles39 and read all of his great analysis at CLNSmedia.com. You can find all my work and stuff on Twitter at Mike Kadlick and read me at WEEI.com. Me and Taylor will be back next week for Week 10. Cannot believe it's already Week 10. Cannot believe it's already November. Cannot believe how cold it got so fast in New England. But nonetheless, we're going to keep it here. We're going to keep running out the content for y'all. So follow along here. Rate, review, subscribe, Patriots Press Pass, all that good stuff. And we will see you next week.